Hi, my name is Susan and I'm the founder of Galvin watch company. Today I will be answering for a few questions so that you can get to know me and my brand a little bit better. So I am a small business and I produce 300 to 3,000 watches a year. I think there's a limitation there that you can call yourself a micro brand. I work in a smaller scheme. However, what I do is I do all the assembly by myself. So I do the design, assembly, and regulate the watches, test them. So everything's done in-house. So I work in a smaller scheme. I work by myself usually, and I have Luigi helping me with the social media work. And then obviously, certain things I have other people, professionals helping me with. But so when it comes to working in the bench, I pretty much do everything by myself. I was living in Finland and I've always been interested of working with my hands. And my dad saw an article in a Finnish newspaper about Finnish School of Watchmaking. And that was basically all about, working with your hands, but also quite technical. I just thought after going to an art school for a year, I thought I'm going to apply and see where it takes me. And yeah, here I am. It was a 3-year school, Finnish School of Watchmaking, fantastic school. I have nothing but the good things to say about that school. It was really good, the teaching and everything, how we were kind of teach from start making the tools first, and then from tools to clocks, and clocks to pocket watches, and pocket watches to wrist watches. So it was really good, really educational. And from there I went to work in the UK, and that was kind of jumping into the deep end. But yeah, I survived. I was working for a big Swiss manufacturer as in a repair center, so repairing watches. And I went to a maternity leave, and I was on a maternity leave and I was thinking that I'm going to go back, but I was made redundant because the operations were moved elsewhere. So I didn't have a job to go to. So that was kind of the breaking point that I decided that, okay, now, I need to think about something else. And it was actually my husband who came up with the idea that why don't you start designing your own watches? But I thought I don't want to take a big bank loan, You have to, when you're making an order, you can't just order 20 pieces of cases and dials and hands and all that. You need to order more. So then we came up with the idea with the crowdfunding so that you could sell the idea first and then take pre-orders and make the first stock order from there. So obviously first I had the samples and everything started from there. But I think after the crowdfunding campaign, it was very successful. I decided that I think this is it, Galvin Watch Company has been established. Probably the admin work is the most, time consuming. I pretty much run the business by myself. I do have some help with the accountancy or social media and stuff like that. But when I'm assembling the watch, that actually doesn't take that much time. So I can assemble about 10 watches a day. And then obviously I do the testing process, and after that I'm regulating. But when it comes to everything else that goes around it, so design process is, yes, it's very time consuming, and it's really rare that you get it right, straight away. It takes time, and then you get samples, you're like, oh, this doesn't look anything that I wanted. So so that's a time consuming process, definitely. But when it comes to all the admin work and shipping and creating shipping labels, and that takes time. That's the most time consuming, I'd say. Well, actually, yeah, that's a good question because, as I've been working in the repair centers I was working for 2 different big manufacturers over 10 years altogether. And as a customer, let's say you got a watch that needs to be repaired. As a customer, you only see the outside of it. So you might see, oh, you've done a fantastic polishing work. However, you can't see what's inside of it. So when I'm assembling my watches, I'm using the same protocols that I've been using when I've been working for the big manufacturers. So obviously there's a certain kind of things that you need to follow, protocols. So when it comes to for example, leaving fingerprints, that's a no-go. So I make sure there's no fingerprints in the moment. There's no scratches when you have a moment ring, and then you have a screws and clamps that goes to keep the moment ring together with the moment. Personally, I really take a pride of my work, and I don't, those things are absolutely a no-go. So I think what happens inside the moment, that's what the customer doesn't see, or inside the watch, that what the customer doesn't see, and what's important to me. I mean, when I was working in a watch repair centers, I think obviously there was sometimes some comments that wasn't that nice, but in terms of, working in a male-oriented industry, especially now, having my own brand, it's been super welcoming. And I think, 99.9% of the comments been really, really positive. But when I was working in the industry, I think, that's how it always goes. So like some people are a little bit old-fashioned, I think, or they might have some their own opinions. But when it comes to the working as a small business owner, my overall experience has been super positive. And I think, watches are for everyone, regardless of the gender. Yes, obviously, when I started the business, I was already a mother. So my son was 4 months old when I started the whole process. And when he was having his nap, I was, doing my design work, doing drawing, and then started to talk with the manufacturers. Little by little, it was like baby steps. I mean, you could say the business was growing at the same time my son was growing. But it is hard combining business, and we have 2 kids, small kids, 4 and 6 years old. So, but my husband is extremely supportive, and also having your own business, I suppose that gives you flexibility in a way that sometimes, if I have to finish work earlier, I can just finish work earlier or come work later, but then I can also work on Saturday if needed. So, I mean, it's not easy, that's for sure. But it also, I do appreciate that it has been giving me some flexibility. I mean, everything. It's not easy, for sure. One of the watchmakers I was working for, my latest job as a watch repairer, he always used to say that every day is a school day when you're a watchmaker, because you always learn something new. But yeah, I definitely think, keeping up with the stock levels is super hard. That's something that I'm always like, I find it hard to keep up. And then, of course, because I put everything together by myself, so I have dials, I have hands, I have moment rings, moments, cases, bracelets, straps. So yeah, I think that's pretty hard. And then time management, that can be quite hard as well. So, if I'm doing 10 watches today, tomorrow I might have, I answer the customers' emails and wrap up some watches, and ship to the customers. But yeah, I think having a small business is definitely challenging as it is, but yeah, I've learned a lot. I hope that people feel and see the time and effort and the passion I put into the watches. Obviously, I have a long history working in the industry, and working with lots of different kind of watches, and I suppose working in a luxury watch industry as well. I do take everything that I've learned into board with my own watches as well. So obviously the price is different to expensive luxury Swiss watch, but I do use the same protocols and quality control what I've always done. So I hope that speaks to itself, because I do really I put a lot of time and effort to the quality of the watches and make sure everything is absolutely how it should be before I leave the workshop. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a bit of a better idea what Galvin Watch Company and who's behind the brand. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.